Okay. So there's going to be a lot of levels, I guess, to what I'm doing with this recording here. First, I'm going to be playing a session, and then also I'm going to, right at the beginning, I'll address kind of what's currently, I guess, going on in the campaign, but then also what's currently going on here for me right now, because um, I usually wait until I'm alone in the house to record, and I know that in a lot of the things that I guess have been discussed in comments and in just the overall idea of solo play, one of the big things is like time. And if during this month where I'm trying to play more and like spend at least a little bit of time every day playing to just to improve the way I play, to improve the amount of time I play, but then also to like streamline things a little bit more. That means that the time that I usually would play, like, or record or do anything else like that, kind of morphs because it becomes more of a catch-all for what I am doing. And none of this, I haven't really thought this out too much before now, but as I was getting ready, I recorded a little bit, and I could hear like my wife and baby are here, my dog's here, and like there was noise in the background, and I was just like, you know what? That's just like the reality of how people play, really. And I don't live in a massive house. I live in an 1152 square foot house, I think. So, I have a little area, like an office, because I work from home and I do a lot of stuff in here. But that just means that, like, a lot of the times there's other stuff going on that I'm aware of. I live on I would say a busy street, but it's actually just a street where people like to speed on. So there's noise outside, there's noise around, but like that's kind of the thing. Like, we can let a lot of stuff like that. I almost just didn't record because I was like, you know what, it may not be as good as it could be, but like I think that we do the exact same thing with playing in general. So I'm going to just do it, and I haven't heard anything since then, so I hope my wife can't hear me and think that I'm telling her not to make sound, because that's not it. So that was me waiting to hear a response, and I didn't. But anyway, let's discuss. I'm also wearing a long sleeve shirt, so I'm already really hot, and that's a side note, not really important. So what happened in day 2 of my Solo Sesh-A-Thon was the first real deviation from the path. I've decided that they're just deciding that they're going south because they know that that's where they're heading. And so they were in hex 501, and as they dipped down into 502, I rolled an intelligence check, and Eliara, who is the highest intelligence out of all of them, she rolled, I think, a nat 2 on it. So then they kind of deviated off to the side, and they came over here to 401, which is a dangerous swamp hex. And I really thought it was going to be action-packed. I thought a lot of crazy stuff was going to happen, but I just didn't roll an encounter again. And so in the night, they're sleeping, and a swarm of snakes, which is this little drawing right here. A swarm of snakes approaches, and it kind of catches them off guard. But luckily, Sir Tucker Rose saved against poison. Otherwise, that could have been an issue, because he would have just gone down to 0 hit points after a few rounds, and then it kind of would have been a drain on potential resources for the day, but that didn't happen. So they were able to, they halved the hit points, and kind of how I handled that too was, Sir Tucker Rhodes was able to wake up everybody else, but when they attacked, they had disadvantage because I felt like being kind of roused would make them a bit more sluggish. But they still hit really hard. They got it down to below half HP, and on its next turn, it turned tails and ran. And so that's kind of where we are now, an early start to the day because it was on the watch. And so they just decided rather than going back to sleep, they were going to go ahead and begin their journey and heading out. So we're going to start right away and attempt to roll to see if we're going south, if we make our way into this hex below. And I've already kind of scouted this out, and this mountainous hex is actually a safe hex. So no encounters will even be rolled in there if they do end up going there. So that could be kind of a breeze, which would then lead them down even further south or potentially somewhere else. So let's go ahead and give an intelligence check from Eliara to see. And I think that this one, since they had a rough night, I'm going to make it I think we'll make it kind of a hard DC to see if they go in the correct direction. And again, I base those DCs off of this right here. Easy being 9, normal 12, hard 15, and then extreme 18. I think that hard in this case is really just they had a tough night, and we're gonna go based off of that. She has a high enough intelligence that it may not be a problem, but if it is, then they will probably push west or potentially go to the right hex, but I'll set a roll for that. 15 plus 4. So Eliara successfully passes, and she begins to lead the rest of the party down into the mountains below. So as the party approaches, they come upon actually, is this a large mountain? Okay. I will count it as a 2. I usually like to leave it on here, but it is not a large mountain. So let's see if there are any kind of defining characteristics. And I'm just going to use the just the prompts here and roll on those just to see if we can get any kind of additional information, something that can, or why, okay, not a defining characteristic, but why is this a safe mountain? Because that is a kind of a rare thing to find something that there's no danger on. Okay, so we get a 92 and a 30. 92 being uphold, and 30 being lead. Uphold, lead. Okay. Or lead. Could that be lead as in like, as a noun? Like lead as in the metal? Upheld, lead. Okay. Yeah, let's go with that. So I kind of have already used the idea of pillars in a safe zone earlier on in my campaign. So what we're going to do is there is a strange thing here at the top of the mountain, and you can kind of see it from far away because it casts a shadow out over it. But there's like this disc that is just entirely made of lead that floats above the top of this mountain. And we'll say that it's a very revered place. It is a place where people come to worship, where people come to just kind of learn and try to understand stuff. But nobody's been able to make heads or tails of this. Okay, wait. Now am I? Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, it actually looks like 402 is a risky mountain hex. So I was wrong. I must have been looking at a one to the west of it, or just somewhere else altogether, because it looks like it's risky. This changes things, everybody. Okay, so It's risky, but I like the idea of there being this lead disc that floats. Lead disc floats above mountain peak. Okay, so let's also say then that it is a like kind of an ominous symbol. This is something that Sir Tucker Rose sees, and he immediately he's not pumped about it. So they begin to journey up this mountain, and as they do, let's go ahead and roll our first encounter. I do believe, and I could be wrong here, but I think I actually have to go a little bit further in because I haven't looked at this in a second. I'm probably going the wrong direction. I do this all the time. Yep. Let's go this way. Overland hex maps. Maybe it actually doesn't tell me if it's tough, but I do believe that both mountains and swamps are kind of difficult terrain where you can't easily travel over them. And maybe I'm just missing something. Okay. We're going to say that it's difficult terrain as I get a drink of water. So it's going to be a slow 8-hour day as they begin to push their way up this mountain. So let's roll that first roll. And this is rolling every 2 hours. So it would take 8 hours to completely cross, but I'm going to kind of work to where it's taking 4 hours to get to the peak. And from there, they'll have to make some decisions. So first encounter check. Okay, so first encounter, there is none. But let's take this time to kind of dig into the background of these characters. So all of these characters are, 2 of them are lawful. Actually, 3 of them are lawful technically if you count Sir Tucker Rose. And then you've got Ulfric, who's neutral. And in Shadowdark, you don't have it's just lawful, neutral, chaotic. Windry, who they're traveling with, was believed to be lawful, but it turns out that she's more chaotic. So all of the lawful individuals as they climb this mountain begin to say prayers to their gods. And I think maybe Ulfric, let's see, is Ulfric religious at all? No. So Ulfric is kind of a jaded individual. He was a scout in the war, which the war didn't take place on this continent. I'm just going to kind of leave that in the past. But he and Eliara took part in this war, and Ulfric, through his experiences there, has just kind of pushed himself away and has decided that the gods have abandoned this land. There's no reason to worship them. They exist, sure, but it's good for the people who need power from them, but I don't need power from them kind of thing. So Ulfric, as he sees everybody praying, he kind of just mutters to them that's not going to do anything. And let's see if they agree or not, or how they react to this. Do they have a negative reaction? Yes, they do. I think that Yarki is the first to kind of snap at him, and tensions have been not running high, but the detour in the swamp and kind of the dreary nature of the land, I think, has been affecting them, and maybe even this lead disc that's floating up ahead is kind of eerily weighing on them as well. And it's kind of sapping some of that joy from the air. And you have Yarki kind of snaps back and he says, well, if that's really the case, then what do you say about the Avatar who came to meet me? And like the power that he bestowed and the spell that he used to take us back. And so they get into a bit of an argument. And as they do, let's roll our next encounter check as they're nearing the top. 6, so nothing. Sir Tucker Rose steps in after a minute and just says, hey, like, there's no need for this. Like, just watch yourselves. Maybe we should take some time and rest here at the top of this mountain. So they get up there, and there's this shade just, like, raining down on them. But they notice something off to the northwest. There is, like, a trail of smoke coming. And right here, there is in Hex 302, so they're up high in the mountains of 402. They're looking out and they see a strange sight. They see like large, like bulbous mushrooms that are like visible from way up here. They look like normal mushrooms because they're really high up, but they're looking down and they've hiked for hours now. So they start looking, and there's like a small trail of smoke coming up from this mountain, or from this mushroom. And let's see, does Eliara know anything about this? Yes, but she's not completely sure about it. But she says she's heard of large or these villages that come into being that kind of bridge the gap between these like mysterious mythical lands and the current and the lands that they reside in now, like kind of elfin mysticism that calls these stories back of like fey creatures who would show up. And so she looks down and she points it out and she says, I'm not sure about this, but I believe that this may be like one of these lost towns or villages, like something that's maybe recently come up or something that's been there for a bit, but people just haven't been exposed to yet. So now they have a choice. They've got to decide if they're going to go down and investigate this now, or if they will maybe come back later and investigate it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say that Eliara wants to stay, and Sir Tucker Rose would like to go, and he says that like he'll send them back with his blessing. But so Eliara is for it. Sir Tucker Rose is ready to get Windry back and recover this artifact. And this benefits everybody. But let's just roll and let's see if what Ulfric wants and what Yarki wants. We're gonna just roll their hit die. So I'm pretty sure a fighter maybe a D8, and then a priest is a D6. So we're gonna go even is they go and check it out. Odd is they continue south and return to the Order of the Order. Okay, so Ulfric says, hey, like, I'm interested in this, especially after he's just been kind of spouting off against the gods. He's like, okay, well, maybe his thought process is, yeah, let's go down there, let's check it out, and let's see what's going on. I'm impressionable. I'll see what there is out there, I guess. And then Yarki, after his near-death experience, and I think maybe even carrying Memnon's entropic armor, just says like, hey, let's just continue going south, because I feel weary, I feel weak, I feel vulnerable, and I've got this thing that we need to turn in. We need to regroup, maybe see if we can get stronger, buy some things to bolster ourselves. And so it comes down to this like stalemate up at the top of this mountain. They're under this disc casting this ominous shadow, and we're just going to let a D20 roll decide it now. Do they go to the mushroom village, or do they go to the south, back to the order of the order? I guess we'll keep it the same, or maybe we'll go high low. So 1 through 10 is going to be going south, and 11 through 20 is going to be going to the mushroom village. 6 south. So they deliberate for almost too long. And then Sir Tucker Rose, let's just say this, maybe he sweetens the deal, and he says, I'm going to have to write this down. Sir Tucker Rose says, if we go south, I will personally find a magic item for you all to aid in your journey. And they say deal. They shake on it. And as Yarky, Sir Tucker Rose, Ulfric all begin to descend this mountain, this risky, just kind of, we'll say there's a dark clouds rolling in now. Eliara kind of looks over her shoulder, looks down, and she mutters something in Sylvan, and then heads off. So we've got 2 more encounter rolls in the day before they make it to the edge of 402 and can camp for the night. So 5. They're making better time on their way down, and they can kind of almost see, like, in the distance, they see grasslands below. They see another mountain range beyond that, and they know that beyond that mountain range, beyond those grasslands, it lies the ocean that will ultimately take them back to the island. So we've got 1 more encounter roll. Okay, so they make it down to the bottom. They're gonna set up camp kind of in this crag that they find, kind of this overhang. They create a very small fire so they can just keep a little warm, and they hunker down for the night. I don't really know how night rolls work because I just don't love those. So rather than doing 1 every 2 hours, nighttime rolls I'm gonna half. So 8 hours of sleep, it'll only be 2 rolls instead of 4. Where if they were in dangerous terrain, it would be 1 roll every hour, so 8. Instead, it would be 4. And then if they're in like an unsafe area, instead of 2 rolls through the night, like 1 every 4 hours, then it would just be 1. This way, I'm not just like, oh yeah, you're getting attacked at night. You're getting attacked at night. So we've got, did I just say 2? Yeah, 2. So the first one, I've kind of set it up as well where Ulfric usually keeps first watch. And then Sir Tucker Rose kind of is the tail end. So Ulfric first. All's good on his watch. Up next, we have Sir Tucker Rose. All is good on his watch. So the party goes to sleep for the night. I'll go ahead and write the recap here. And then I'm going to say they end in hex 402. All right. Well, that's it. That's day 3 for me. That's officially 1/10 of the way done. And not a whole lot has happened so far. Now I'm setting up kind of like these seeds of like what will happen once they've kind of achieved their goals. But full disclosure, I don't know. I honestly, I just knew I rolled a village there and I wanted a mushroom village a long time ago. And I just thought when I saw it there, I was like, maybe they would see it. And that's as far as I thought. So, we'll see what comes of that place, what it could lead to. And if there's adventures beyond just the land of Portage, or if there's a quest that they can get from there, or if they live to see the Mushroom Village. I guess we'll find out. So thanks for joining me, and I hope you guys have a good one. Bye.